Let's now talk about the continued troubles that one of Trump's former lawyers is having, who seems very unwell. I told you earlier this week that former Trump lawyer Sidney Powell has pleaded guilty. She now has come out and pushed the claims that she pleaded guilty because prosecutors extorted her and that the election really was stolen from Donald Trump. My analysis of this, complete layperson analysis that I don't know her personally, just from the things she's said and done publicly, is that she is very much unwell. This does not seem like a well woman. Let's look at what's going on. Business Insider reports Sidney Powell pushes claims that 2020 election was rigged. Prosecutors extorted her after her guilty plea. And it reminds us, Sidney Powell pleaded guilty to election interference in Georgia's criminal case last week. She's still pushing claims that the 2020 election was rigged and prosecutors target conservatives. Her organization's newsletter promoted an article saying the DA, quote, extorted a guilty plea from Powell. She continues, I guess, to believe that Joe Biden didn't really win in 2020. I know it's been almost 3 years. It's been 60 court cases. It's been a total lack of evidence everywhere. On her social media accounts, Powell has continued to push claims that it was rigged and that prosecutors in Georgia who brought a criminal case against her were politically motivated. She says that she was extorted in her guilty plea. I'm going to just be super honest. This to me seems like someone who does believe what she is saying. You know, we talk about, does Steve Bannon really believe the election was stolen? I don't think so. I don't buy it. I don't think he's being genuine. Steve Bannon says and does so many things for posturing, to activate the right people, to send messages and to get certain political constituencies into action. I don't think Steve Bannon believes it for a second. I think Bannon knows that Biden won. On the other hand, you've got someone like a Mike Pillow, who I've kind of gone back and forth. Does he believe it? Does he not believe it? I have moments where I think he does. I have moments where I think he doesn't. I think Sidney Powell is a classic example of someone who really does believe it. And she seems mentally ill. Now, I'm not issuing a diagnosis. I'm just saying, if we look at the interviews, we look at her behavior, we look at her walking out of interviews furious, we look at these things that she's saying, her seemingly complete inability to just accept things as they are. She seems like a true believer. She seems unwell. I don't know what the diagnosis is. It would be for someone who is qualified to explore that, to figure it out. But she does seem like a true believer. And then this gets us to the broader conversation, which is, I've talked to you before about how when we hear a poll number like 57% of Republicans believe that Trump won in 2020. Okay. Some portion of that 57% really believes it. And some portion of the 57% believes that in order to signal their allegiance to their tribe, they're supposed to answer in a poll that they believe it, when in reality, they do not. You've got the people who don't believe it and are willing to say, I don't believe it. The people who do believe it and say, I believe it. But then you've got the people who don't believe it, but say they do, because they see this as fighting some kind of war. The ends justify the means justify the ends, whichever way you want to do it. I know both are popular now if you listen to Republicans. And that is really the question when we think about what portion of this country actually continues to believe this stuff at this point in time. The 2024 election, in a way, is going to be a referendum on that. It will be the first opportunity where everybody who feels that they were wronged in 2020 and it was stolen, what action are they going to take? Some who believe it was stolen are going to come back rip-roaring and say, we're going to get it back this time. We're going to vote again. Others, I mean, listen, in some sense, if you believe they stole your vote in 2020 and you have no reason to think that problem has been fixed, aren't they going to just steal your vote again in 2024? Why would you even bother? Why wouldn't you just stay home? And of course, this is the risk we've been talking about for a while from continuing to push on it was stolen and nobody cares. It's that if you really convince enough voters that their vote is going to be stolen again, you're effectively convincing those people to stay home. You're telling them your vote's not going to matter. And then usually when you confront them with this, they come back and they say, well, they're going to steal some votes. We need so many people to vote that they're not able to steal it. It's a silly argument because if indeed those doing the theft are as sophisticated as they must be to leave absolutely no trace a few million more people voting is not a problem that they can't overcome. So none of it makes sense. It's all incoherent, but there are people who plan to vote who are in the category of Sidney Powell, true believers, probably unwell to some degree. All we can do is make sure we're registered to vote and that we're there on election day voting against them. We'll take a very quick break. Make sure you're signed up on YouTube. Packed program today, so I'll try to do as little time wasting as possible. 30 million trees are destroyed every year for toilet paper in the U.S. alone. So toilet paper is a big contributor to deforestation and climate change. Our sponsor, Real Paper, makes toilet paper from bamboo. Bamboo plants keep growing, which means no deforestation. Bamboo also absorbs 5 times as much carbon from the atmosphere as pine trees. And bamboo toilet paper is stronger than regular toilet paper and even softer. So bamboo toilet paper is all around a win for you and for the environment. It's time to move on from that toilet paper from trees that you're using at home. When you use Real Paper, it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing anything. It's soft and fluffy, and they'll ship it to your door in plastic-free packaging on a schedule. Super easy. With every box of Real Paper you buy, they are funding reforestation efforts across the country through their partnership with One Tree Planted. So unlike the toilet paper that cuts down trees, Real is helping to actively plant them. Go to realpaper.com/Pacman and use code Pacman for 30% off your first order and free shipping. The link is down below.